Good evening and welcome back. Tonight, as you prepare to do what you'll do in just a little while, close your eyes, surrender consciousness, and drift into that mysterious other world. We're going to explore the most universal human experience that nobody fully understands. This is the story of sleep, that strange nightly death and rebirth, that journey we take every single day of our lives into a realm of dreams and darkness, memory and mystery. Every creature that has ever lived has needed rest, but humans alone worry about it, study it, fear it, and make it sacred. Get comfortable, settle in, and let's begin this journey into the night. Part 1. The ancient surrender before science. Sleep in the earliest days. Imagine being human 50,000 years ago. You live in a world without artificial light, where darkness is absolute and dangerous. When the sun sets, predators emerge, big cats with night vision far superior to yours, bears, wolves, creatures that can see and smell you long before you detect them. And yet, despite this mortal danger, every night you must do something that seems like evolutionary suicide. You must close your eyes, lose consciousness, and become completely vulnerable for hours. Sleep should have killed us. Natural selection should have favored those who needed less of it, who could stay alert while others slumbered. But instead, sleep survived every generation, which means it must be doing something absolutely essential. Our ancestors didn't know what. They only knew they had no choice. The campfire circle. The discovery of fire changed everything. Suddenly, humans had a weapon against the darkness. Archaeological evidence suggests that once our ancestors mastered fire, perhaps 400,000 years ago, certainly by 125,000 years ago, they began to gather around it at night. The fire provided warmth, light, and protection. Predators feared it. Within its circle, humans could relax at least a little. And something remarkable happened around those fires. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies, the closest we can get to understanding ancient human behavior, have found that nighttime around the fire is when stories are told. During the day, people work, gather food, make tools. But at night, in that drowsy space between wakefulness and sleep, they tell stories. The Juhuanzi people of the Kalahari Desert spend 80% of their nighttime conversation on storytelling. The stories serve multiple purposes. They teach moral lessons. They transmit survival information. They create social bonds. They explain the mysterious world. And they do something else. They ease the transition into sleep. The human voice, the flickering firelight, the sense of safety in numbers all conspire to make sleep possible. Our ancestors transformed sleep from a terrifying vulnerability into a communal experience. We developed the practice of taking turns, keeping watch. We learned to sleep in shifts. We created the conditions where sleep could be safe. And in doing so, we made sleep social, even sacred. Sleep in mythology, the brother of death. Ancient peoples lacking scientific understanding created stories to explain sleep, and across cultures the stories share striking similarities. The Greeks, Hypnos and Thanatos. In Greek mythology, sleep and death were twins, Hypnos and Thanatos, sons of night, Nyx, and darkness, Erebus. Hypnos was the gentler brother, bringing rest and dreams. He lived in a cave where the river Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, flowed. Poppies grew at the entrance. Inside, Hypnos lay on a bed of ebony surrounded by his sons, the dreams, including Morpheus, who could take any human form and appear in sleepers' dreams. The Greeks understood something profound. Sleep and death are intimately related. Sleep is little death, a temporary cessation of consciousness, a surrender of control, a journey to another realm. Every night we practice dying, every morning we're reborn. The Norse, Valkyries and Valhalla. The Vikings believed that death in battle earned a warrior a place in Valhalla, Odin's great hall. But getting there required a journey, often depicted as a kind of sleep. The Valkyries, Odin's warrior maidens, would carry the fallen from the battlefield. The word Valkyrie means chooser of the slain. They decided who would sleep in death forever and who would wake to feast in Valhalla. Norse poetry often used sleep as a metaphor for death. A fallen warrior had gone to sleep with his sword. The battlefield was the sleep-thorn field. Even today, we use the same metaphors. We put animals to sleep. We speak of the dead as sleeping peacefully. We visit eternal rest in cemeteries. Ancient Egypt, the journey of Ra. The Egyptians believed that each night the sun god Ra traveled through the underworld, the Duat, sailing his solar bark through 12 hours of darkness, facing demons and challenges before emerging reborn at dawn. This nightly journey mirrored human sleep, a descent into darkness, a confrontation with the unknown, and a return to the light. The Egyptians saw sleep as a practice run for death. When they mummified their dead and filled tombs with supplies, they were preparing them for a journey much like Ra's nightly voyage. Dark, dangerous, but ultimately leading to rebirth. The dream time. Aboriginal Australian cosmology. For Aboriginal Australians, the dream time, or dreaming, is not just about sleeping dreams, but the eternal sacred time when ancestral spirits created the world. But the word dreaming itself is telling. This creative mythological time shares qualities with the dream state. Fluidity, transformation, the dissolution of normal boundaries between past, present, and future. Sleep and dreams were portals to this sacred time. In sleep, one could access ancestral wisdom, receive visions, communicate with the spirit world. Sleep wasn't just rest. It was a spiritual practice. The fear of sleep. But sleep also terrified ancient peoples. What happened to consciousness when you slept? Where did you go? Some cultures believed the soul left the body during sleep, traveling to other realms. This was dangerous. If something prevented the soul from returning, you might never wake up. Hence, elaborate rituals developed around sleep and waking. The ancient Egyptians had prayers to say before sleeping, asking gods to protect their traveling soul. Medieval Europeans feared that demons might possess a sleeping body whose soul was absent. Japanese folklore warned of the Baku, a dream-eating spirit that could be invoked to devour nightmares but might consume good dreams too if not careful. And nightmares, the very word comes from night and mare, an Old English term for a female demon or goblin that sat on sleepers' chests, causing bad dreams and suffocation. The sensation was real. We now call it sleep paralysis. But ancient peoples interpreted it as demonic attack. Charms, herbs, prayers, and specific sleeping positions all developed to ward off these night terrors. Sleep paralysis, where you wake but cannot move, where you feel a presence in the room, where terror overwhelms you, was nearly universal in human experience and universally attributed to supernatural causes. Every culture had its version of the nightmare demon. The incubus and succubus in Europe, the Pisadera in Brazil, the Carabasan in Turkey, the Preta in Cambodia. These weren't just stories. They were attempts to explain the genuinely horrifying experiences that sleep could bring. Part 2. Sleep and Civilization. When humans stopped sleeping naturally. For most of human history, people slept in a pattern called biphasic sleep, or segmented sleep. Historical records, personal diaries, legal depositions, and literature from before the Industrial Revolution reveal something startling. People didn't sleep through the night, first sleep and second sleep. Instead, they had first sleep or dead sleep, several hours right after dark, typically from around 9 or 10 p.m. until midnight or 1 a.m. Then they woke up. This wasn't insomnia, it was normal. This period of wakefulness lasting an hour or two was called the watch, or the watching. During the watch, people did quiet activities. They prayed. Many prayer books had special prayers for the nighttime waking. They talked with their spouse or bedmates. Beds were commonly shared by multiple people. They visited neighbors. They had sex. Some historical medical texts recommended it specifically during the watch as the best time for conception. They thought about their dreams from first sleep. They engaged in what we might call meditation or contemplation. Then came second sleep, or morning sleep, lasting until dawn or shortly after. People woke naturally, refreshed, having slept a total of about 8 hours, but in 2 distinct phases. This pattern appears across medieval Europe and colonial America in pre-industrial societies worldwide. References to first and second sleep are everywhere once you know to look for them. Homer's Odyssey mentions it. Chaucer's Canterbury Tales reference it. Legal documents from the 1600s record crimes committed during first sleep versus second sleep. The disappearance of segmented sleep. What happened? Street lighting, coffee houses, the Industrial Revolution's demand for standardized work schedules. As cities grew and artificial light became common, first from gas lamps, then from electricity, the sharp division between day and night blurred. Staying up later became possible, even desirable. Factories needed workers on predictable schedules. The 9-to-5 workday, or more accurately, the sunrise to sunset workday, had no room for a 2-hour waking period in the middle of the night. Coffee and tea, stimulants newly available to the masses, helped people stay awake longer and push through drowsiness. By the early 20th century, segmented sleep had vanished from Western consciousness so completely that when historians rediscovered it in the 1990s, it seemed bizarre. We'd forgotten our own sleeping past. Today, when people wake in the middle of the night and can't fall back asleep immediately, they often diagnose themselves with insomnia and worry. But they might simply be experiencing the ancient watch period, a perfectly natural phenomenon that our modern lifestyle has trained us to see as pathological. Sleep and social class. Throughout history, how you slept signaled your social status. The poor slept on straw, on dirt floors, on wooden planks. The rich slept on feather mattresses, in canopied beds, in rooms dedicated solely to sleep, a luxury most couldn't imagine. The Great Bedchamber. In medieval and Renaissance Europe, the wealthy made their beds ceremonial. The bedchamber became a room for receiving visitors, conducting business, even holding court. Kings and nobles would grant audiences while still in bed. The bed itself was a work of art, carved, draped with expensive fabrics, sometimes worth more than the house containing it. The famous Great Bed of Ware, built around 1590, measured nearly 11 feet square and could sleep 15 people. It wasn't just furniture. It was a tourist attraction mentioned in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. Travelers would detour to see it, to sleep in it. It represented the ultimate in sleeping luxury. Sleeping arrangements. Privacy in sleep is a modern concept. For most of history, most people shared sleeping spaces. Entire families slept in one room, often in one bed. Servants slept in the same room as their masters, sometimes on trundle beds pulled from beneath the main bed, sometimes on the floor. Travelers at inns shared beds with strangers. College students, apprentices, soldiers, all slept communally. This arrangement had advantages: warmth, crucial in unheated buildings, security, social bonding. But it meant sleep was a social experience governed by etiquette and negotiation. Sleep manuals from the medieval period advised on proper bed-sharing conduct. Don't steal covers, don't kick your bedmate, don't snore excessively, and absolutely don't perform any unseemly acts. The idea of each person having their own bed in their own room is largely a product of 20th century affluence in developed countries. Globally, communal sleeping remains common. And even in the West, the isolation of solo sleeping is historically anomalous. We spent hundreds of thousands of years sleeping in groups, and some argue we sleep more poorly alone. Sleep deprivation as torture and control. Those in power have always understood that controlling sleep controls people. Sleep deprivation has been used as torture for millennia because it works. It breaks people down physically and psychologically faster than almost anything else. Medieval and early modern torture. The tortura insomniae was a recognized torture method in medieval Europe. The accused would be kept awake for days, sometimes by physical means, being forced to stand, being walked in circles, sometimes by psychological means, constant noise, bright lights, periodic questioning. After several days without sleep, people would confess to anything, hallucinate, lose their grip on reality. The witch trials of the 16th and 17th centuries often employed sleep deprivation. Suspected witches would be watched, kept awake for days while observers looked for signs of their familiar spirits coming to visit them. In their exhausted, delirious state, the accused would often see things that weren't there, providing evidence of their witchcraft. Sleep deprivation produced the very hallucinations that confirmed suspicions. Slavery and sleep enslavers in America and the Caribbean understood that exhausted people are controllable people. Enslaved workers were often given minimal sleep, rising before dawn, working until after dusk, then required to process their own food or perform other tasks before being allowed to sleep. Frederick Douglass wrote about this in his autobiography, noting that slave owners deliberately deprived enslaved people of sleep during holidays, forcing them to drink and stay awake, so they'd be too exhausted to plan rebellion and would actually look forward to returning to regular work. The sleep deprivation was strategic. It prevented organization, killed hope, and created a population too tired to effectively resist. Modern interrogation sleep deprivation remains a tool of coercion. In the 20th and 21st centuries, various governments and agencies have used sleep deprivation in interrogations. The effects are well documented. After 48-72 hours without sleep, cognitive function collapses, memory becomes unreliable, suggestibility increases dramatically, and false confessions become likely. The recognition of sleep deprivation as torture is relatively recent in international law, and debates continue about where to draw the line between harsh interrogation and torture. The bedroom revolution? The 19th and 20th centuries brought massive changes to how we sleep. For the first time in history, the technology of sleep became available to ordinary people. The spring mattress. Before the 1870s, mattresses were essentially cloth bags filled with straw, feathers, horsehair, or wool. They were lumpy, they harbored insects, they needed constant fluffing and refilling. The invention of the coil spring mattress revolutionized sleep. Suddenly, a mattress could provide consistent support, could last for years, could be manufactured at scale. Mattress companies arose, each claiming their design was scientifically superior for sleep health. The mattress became a consumer product, advertised and marketed. Sleeping comfort transitioned from luxury to expectation. Climate control air conditioning, invented in 1902 and gradually becoming common in homes by the 1950s and 60s, changed sleep in hot climates. For the first time, people could sleep comfortably through summer nights. This seemingly simple change had profound effects. Studies show cognitive performance and even violent crime rates drop when people sleep in comfortable temperatures. Before air conditioning, people in hot regions had elaborate strategies for sleeping. Sleeping outdoors on roofs or porches, using special cooling beds, adjusting their entire daily schedule to sleep during the hottest part of the day, siesta cultures. Air conditioning made all this unnecessary and enabled the Sun Belt migration in America. The alarm clock. The mechanical alarm clock, mass-produced from the late 19th century onward, fundamentally changed the human relationship with waking. For millennia, people woke naturally with the sun or were woken by roosters, church bells, or knocker-uppers. People employed to wake others by tapping on windows. The alarm clock meant you could override your natural wake time. You could sleep less than your body wanted and be jolted awake at any predetermined moment. This was essential for industrial work schedules, but came with costs. We became the first humans in history to regularly cut our sleep short, to wake before we were naturally ready. The invention of the snooze button in 1956 acknowledged the brutality of the alarm clock, offering a compromise. A few more minutes of dozing, though sleep researchers note that fragmented snooze sleep provides no restorative benefit and often makes waking harder. Part 3. The science of sleep. The discovery of sleep states. For most of history, sleep was thought to be a passive state. The brain and body simply turned off. But in the 1950s, researchers made discoveries that revolutionized our understanding of sleep. The discovery of REM sleep. In 1953, University of Chicago researcher Eugene Aserinsky was studying the sleep of his 8-year-old son using electrodes to measure brain waves and eye movements. He noticed something strange periodically through the night. His son's eyes moved rapidly beneath his closed eyelids, and his brain waves became active, almost as if he were awake. When Aserinsky woke his son during these periods, the boy vividly recalled dreaming. This was REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, and its discovery changed everything. Sleep wasn't passive at all. The brain didn't turn off. Instead, sleep consisted of distinct stages, each with different brain activity, different purposes, different characteristics. The sleep cycle. We now know that sleep progresses through cycles, each lasting about 90 minutes. In each cycle, you move through several stages. Stage 1 is the transition from wakefulness to sleep, lasting just a few minutes. Your muscles relax, your heart rate slows, your brain waves change from the alert beta waves of wakefulness to slower alpha waves. You drift. This is where those sudden falling sensations can occur. Hypnic jerks, muscle spasms as your body transitions into paralysis. Stage 2 is light sleep, where you spend about half your night. Your body temperature drops, your heart rate slows further. Your brain produces sleep spindles, bursts of rapid brainwave activity that are thought to help consolidate memories and protect your sleep from disruption by external noise. Stage 3 is deep sleep, also called slow wave sleep because your brain produces slow delta waves. This is the most restorative stage. Your blood pressure drops, your breathing slows, your muscles completely relax. Growth hormone is released, tissue repairs, immune function strengthens. This is the sleep that makes you feel refreshed. Waking from deep sleep leaves you groggy and confused. Young people spend more time in deep sleep. As we age, we get less of it. Then comes REM sleep, which is utterly bizarre. Your brain becomes nearly as active as when you're awake. Your eyes dart back and forth. Your heart rate and breathing become irregular. But your body is paralyzed. Your voluntary muscles shut down completely except for your eyes and diaphragm. This paralysis prevents you from acting out your dreams, which in REM sleep are vivid, emotional, and often bizarre. You cycle through these stages 4 to 6 times per night, but the composition changes. Early in the night, you spend more time in deep sleep. Later in the night, your REM periods lengthen. Your final REM period before waking might last 30-40 minutes. This is when you have your longest, most vivid dreams. Why we sleep. The functions of rest. Scientists now understand that sleep performs multiple essential functions. Lose it, and you lose everything. Memory consolidation. During sleep, especially during REM sleep, your brain processes the day's experiences. It decides what to keep and what to discard. It moves information from short-term to long-term memory. It finds patterns, makes connections, solves problems. Students who study before sleep perform better on tests than those who study and stay awake. Sleep saves the information. Pulling all-nighters backfires. Without sleep to consolidate learning, much of what you studied simply vanishes. Physical restoration. During deep sleep, your body repairs itself. Muscles grow and repair, tissues regenerate, growth hormone surges, especially in children and adolescents. They literally grow while they sleep. Your immune system strengthens. People who sleep poorly get sick more often. Studies show that people given a cold virus are 3 times more likely to get sick if they've been sleeping less than 7 hours per night. Metabolic regulation. Sleep regulates hormones that control hunger. Ghrelin, which stimulates appetite, increases when you're sleep deprived. Leptin, which signals fullness, decreases. This is why tired people crave junk food and overeat. Chronic sleep deprivation is strongly linked to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Emotional processing. REM sleep seems particularly important for processing emotions. Your brain revisits emotional experiences, usually stripping away the sharp edges of negative emotions while preserving the memory itself. This is why we often feel better about upsetting events after sleeping on it. PTSD may partly result from disrupted REM sleep. The traumatic memories can't be properly processed and remain raw. Brain cleaning. In 2012, researchers discovered something remarkable. During sleep, the brain has a waste clearance system called the glymphatic system. Cerebrospinal fluid washes through the brain, flushing out toxic waste products that accumulate during waking hours, including beta-amyloid proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease. This cleaning happens primarily during deep sleep and is less effective during wakefulness. Essentially, sleep is when your brain takes out the trash. Chronic poor sleep may contribute to neurodegenerative diseases decades later. What happens when we don't sleep? Sleep deprivation studies have revealed just how catastrophic losing sleep can be. The fatal familial insomnia. Tragedy fatal. Familial insomnia is a rare genetic disorder where people progressively lose the ability to sleep. It's horrifying. The disease typically begins in middle age. At first, the person experiences worsening insomnia, then they lose the ability to sleep entirely. As months pass without sleep, they develop panic attacks, hallucinations, severe dementia. They lose weight despite eating. Their body temperature regulation fails. Eventually, they fall into a state between sleep and wakefulness, neither resting nor truly awake, and die, usually within a year of symptoms beginning. There is no cure. There is no treatment. It demonstrates that sleep is not optional. It is absolutely necessary for life. Sleep deprivation records. The documented record for staying awake is held by Randy Gardner, a 17-year-old high school student who stayed awake for 264 hours, 11 days, in 1964 for a science fair project. Researchers monitored him throughout. By day 4, Gardner was irritable and paranoid. By day 7, he had difficulty speaking. His memory was shot. He had trouble concentrating. By day 11, he showed severe cognitive deficits. His brain waves, when measured, showed periods where parts of his brain appeared to be asleep even while he was technically awake. Micro-sleeps his conscious mind couldn't control. Remarkably, Gardner recovered after sleeping for 14 hours straight, but the experiment was never repeated. It's now considered unethical. Later research on less extreme sleep deprivation shows that going without sleep for just 24 hours impairs cognitive function equivalent to being legally drunk. The dream world dreams have fascinated humanity since we first became conscious of them. What are they? Why do we have them? What do they mean? Freud and Jung Sigmund Freud famously called dreams the royal road to the unconscious. He believed dreams were disguised wish fulfillments containing hidden meanings that could be decoded through psychoanalysis. A dream about climbing stairs might represent sexual desire. A dream about losing teeth might represent anxiety about aging or loss of power. Carl Jung disagreed with Freud's emphasis on repressed sexuality but agreed that dreams were meaningful. Jung saw dreams as messages from the unconscious using archetypal symbols, the shadow, the anima, animus, the wise old man, that recurred across cultures. He believed dreams were attempting to restore psychological balance, compensating for one-sided conscious attitudes. Modern neuroscience, the activation synthesis theory. In the 1970s, sleep researchers J. Allen Hobson and Robert McCarley proposed a very different theory. Dreams, they argued, weren't meaningful messages from the unconscious, but rather the brain's attempt to make sense of random neural firing during REM sleep. During REM, the brainstem fires off chaotic signals. The cortex, which normally interprets sensory data from the world, tries to interpret these random signals by creating a narrative, a dream. This is why dreams are so bizarre. The brain is creating a story from nonsense signals, mixing memories, emotions, and random associations. This doesn't mean dreams are meaningless, just that they're not encoded messages. They reflect our concerns, our memories, our emotional states. A student stressed about an exam dreams about the exam. A person grieving a loss dreams about the lost person. The content is meaningful even if the mechanism is random activation. Common dreams and what they might mean. Falling dreams are nearly universal, possibly related to hypnic jerks or to anxiety about loss of control. Flying dreams often correlate with feelings of freedom or mastery. Being chased suggests avoidance of something in waking life. Appearing naked in public reflects vulnerability or fear of exposure. Losing teeth, being unprepared for an exam, being unable to move, all these common dreams seem to tap into universal human anxieties. But dreams also do something wonderful. They make the impossible possible. In dreams, you can fly. The dead return to life. You possess abilities you don't have. Time flows strangely. You can be yourself and someone else simultaneously. Dreams are the freest state of consciousness we experience, unconstrained by physical laws or logical consistency. Some people experience lucid dreams, where they become aware they're dreaming and can sometimes control the dream. With practice, lucid dreamers can explore dream worlds deliberately, confronting fears, testing ideas, experiencing impossibilities. It's the closest thing we have to virtual reality, generated entirely by our own minds. Part 4. Modern sleep crisis. The sleep-deprived society. We are living through an unprecedented sleep crisis. For the first time in human history, large populations are chronically, deliberately sleep-deprived. The statistics. The Centers for Disease Control calls insufficient sleep a public health epidemic. More than 1/3 of American adults don't get enough sleep. Teenagers who need 8 to 10 hours average closer to 6-7 hours on school nights. The problem is global. Surveys in developed nations show similar patterns. We sleep about 2 hours less per night than people did a century ago. Our ancestors might have slept 9 to 10 hours. We consider 6 to 7 hours normal, even virtuous. We brag about how little sleep we need, treating exhaustion as a status symbol. The causes. The culprits are numerous. Artificial light, especially blue light from screens, which suppresses melatonin production and tricks our brains into thinking it's still daytime. Work cultures that glorify overwork and see sleep as weakness. Long commutes that steal time from both ends of the day. Caffeine consumption, which has soared. We use stimulants to override our body's sleep signals. Stress and anxiety, which makes sleep difficult even when we have time for it. School start times are particularly problematic for adolescents. Teenagers' circadian rhythms naturally shift later. They're not lazy. Their biology makes them night owls. Forcing them to start school at 7:30 a.m. is forcing them to function during their biological night. Studies show that when schools start later, student performance improves, mental health improves, even car accident rates decline. The consequences. The effects of chronic sleep deprivation are devastating. Decreased cognitive function. We make worse decisions, solve problems more slowly, remember less. Emotional dysregulation. We're more irritable, more anxious, more prone to depression. Weakened immune systems. Increased risk of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, stroke. Shorter lifespans. People who regularly sleep less than 6 hours per night die younger than those who sleep 7 to 8 hours. Sleep deprivation also increases accident rates. The Exxon Valdez oil spill, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, the Challenger space shuttle explosion, all involved critical errors made by sleep-deprived operators. Drowsy driving causes hundreds of thousands of accidents annually. Being awake for 18 hours impairs driving as much as being legally drunk. The sleep industry, recognizing the crisis, an entire industry has emerged to help people sleep. Sleep tracking and apps. Wearable devices now monitor your sleep, tracking movement, heart rate, even blood oxygen levels to estimate how much time you spend in each sleep stage. Apps offer guided meditations, sleep stories, hello, white noise, and pink noise. The global sleep economy is worth over $400 billion, but there's irony here. Staring at screens to track your sleep, becoming anxious about your sleep metrics, using technology to solve problems that technology partly created. Some sleep experts worry that sleep tracking creates orthosomnia, an unhealthy obsession with achieving perfect sleep that actually worsens sleep by creating anxiety. Sleeping pills. Sleeping medications are hugely popular, but they don't produce natural sleep. Most sleeping pills either sedate you, like benzodiazepines, or induce a sleep-like state, like newer medications such as Ambien. The sleep architecture is different from natural sleep. You get less deep sleep, less REM sleep. You're unconscious, but your brain isn't doing all the restorative work that natural sleep accomplishes. Sleeping pills can be useful short-term for acute insomnia triggered by specific stressors. But long-term use can create dependence, make natural sleep more difficult, and carries risks. Next-day impairment, sleepwalking, even sleep driving, performing complex activities while essentially asleep. Sleep hygiene. Sleep researchers have identified behaviors that promote good sleep, collectively called sleep hygiene. Keep a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends. Your body thrives on regularity. Make your bedroom dark, cool, and quiet. Temperature is crucial. Your body needs to drop its core temperature to sleep well. 65-68 degrees is optimal for most people. Avoid screens for at least an hour before bed or use blue light filters. The blue wavelengths suppress melatonin powerfully. Avoid caffeine after early afternoon. It has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours, meaning that afternoon coffee is still affecting you at bedtime. Exercise regularly, but not within a few hours of bedtime. Avoid large meals, alcohol, and excessive liquids before bed. Use your bed only for sleep and sex, not for working, watching TV, or scrolling social media. This creates a mental association. Bed equals sleep. If you can't fall asleep within 20 minutes, get up and do something calm in dim light until you feel sleepy. Lying in bed awake creates anxiety about sleep. These practices help, but they can't fully overcome a lifestyle structured against sleep. Shift work and modern schedules. Humans evolved to sleep at night. Our entire biology is optimized for this. Circadian rhythms controlled by light exposure, hormone cycles, temperature regulation. But modern economies run 24/7, requiring millions to work night shifts. The health costs shift workers, especially those on rotating shifts, experience higher rates of nearly every chronic disease. The World Health Organization classifies night shift work as a probable carcinogen. The mechanism. Circadian disruption interferes with DNA repair, hormone regulation, and immune function. Shift workers suffer more heart attacks, more strokes, more gastrointestinal problems, more depression. Their sleep taken during daylight hours is shorter and less restorative. The world is noisy, light leaks in, their biology fights them. Even blackout curtains and white noise can't fully override millions of years of evolution. We've created an economy that requires people to violate their biology, and those people pay for it with their health. Insomnia, when sleep won't come. For some people, the problem isn't lack of time for sleep, but inability to sleep when they try. Chronic insomnia affects 10–15% of adults. Difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking too early. Occurring at least 3 nights per week for 3 months or more. Types of insomnia. Sleep onset insomnia means lying awake for hours, mind racing, unable to transition from wakefulness to sleep. Maintenance insomnia means waking repeatedly through the night or waking in the early morning hours and being unable to fall back asleep. The causes vary. Stress and anxiety are major culprits. The mind won't quiet, replaying conversations, planning tomorrow, catastrophizing. Depression often disrupts sleep, especially causing early morning waking. Chronic pain makes comfortable sleep impossible. Sleep apnea, where breathing stops repeatedly through the night. Fragments sleep so severely that sufferers often don't realize they're waking dozens or hundreds of times per night. The insomnia trap. Insomnia creates a vicious cycle. You can't sleep, so you worry about not sleeping, which makes you more alert, which makes sleep even harder. You start associating your bed with frustration and wakefulness instead of with rest. You try harder to sleep, but sleep is one of those things, like happiness or relaxation, that you can't achieve by striving for it. The effort defeats itself. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, is currently the gold standard treatment, more effective long-term than sleeping pills. It works by breaking the cycle, changing thoughts about sleep, reducing time in bed to consolidate sleep pressure, reassociating the bed with sleeping rather than with wakefulness. Part 5. Sleep across cultures and ages. How different cultures sleep. The 8-hour block of nighttime sleep alone in your own bed is culturally specific. Across the world, sleep takes many forms. Siesta cultures in Spain, parts of Latin America, and Mediterranean countries, the siesta is traditional, a post-lunch nap or rest period. The hottest part of the day is given over to sleep or quiet rest, with social and work activities resuming in the cooler evening. This biphasic pattern aligns with natural circadian rhythms. Most humans experience a dip in alertness in the early afternoon. Fighting through it with caffeine is the modern solution. Surrendering to it with a nap is the traditional one. Siestas are declining as these countries modernize and adopt standard 9-to-5 work schedules, often to align with international business. But research suggests the siesta was healthier. The afternoon nap reduces cardiovascular stress and improves cognitive performance. Co-sleeping traditions. In much of Asia, Africa, and parts of Latin America, co-sleeping, where children sleep with parents or families sleep together in shared spaces, remains normal. Western parenting experts often warn against it, citing safety concerns, but billions of people practice co-sleeping safely. It promotes bonding, makes nighttime nursing easier, and reflects a different cultural value, interdependence rather than independence. The Western emphasis on children sleeping alone in their own rooms from infancy is historically and globally unusual. It reflects values of individualism and self-reliance. But it's not natural or universal, it's cultural. The Japanese approach in Japan, the concept of inemuri, sleeping while present, is socially acceptable. Dozing during a meeting or on public transportation isn't seen as rude, but as evidence of hard work and exhaustion. There's even a particular art to it. Sleeping while appearing attentive, sleeping while not fully surrendering consciousness. This reflects both Japan's work culture, long hours are expected and respected, and a different understanding of sleep. It's not a binary state of unconscious or conscious, but exists on a spectrum with multiple gradations. Sleep across the lifespan. How we sleep changes dramatically as we age, and each stage of life has its own sleep challenges and characteristics. Babies, the sleep tyrants, newborns sleep 16-17 hours per day, but in short bursts of 2-4 hours. They haven't developed circadian rhythms yet. They don't distinguish day from night. Their sleep is split roughly equally between REM and non-REM sleep, much more REM than adults get. This REM sleep is crucial for their rapidly developing brains. For parents, this period is brutal. The fragmented sleep, the night wakings every few hours, the unpredictability, it's a form of torture, albeit one motivated by love. Studies show that new parents lose 44 days of sleep in the first year of their baby's life. Sleep deprivation contributes to postpartum depression, relationship stress, and decreased cognitive function. By 3 to 4 months, babies begin to develop circadian rhythms. By 6 months, many can sleep for longer stretches. But sleep regressions, periods where previously good sleepers suddenly wake frequently, occur at predictable developmental milestones. The brain is reorganizing, and sleep disrupts. Children, the resistance. Fighters, young children need 10 or 13 hours of sleep, but many resist bedtime with impressive creativity. The requests for water, the sudden need to use the bathroom, the declaration that they're not tired even as they rub their eyes, it's a nightly battle in many households. Why do children fight sleep? Partly it's fear of missing out. The adults are still awake, doing interesting adult things. Partly it's separation anxiety. Sleep means being alone. Partly it's a bid for control in a world where adults control nearly everything. And partly it's that children haven't yet experienced enough exhausting days to appreciate sleep's value. Bedtime routines help. Bath, story, song. The same sequence every night creates a ritual that signals safety and predictability. The routine itself becomes a bridge into sleep. Teenagers, the night owls. Adolescent sleep patterns shift dramatically. During puberty, circadian rhythms delay by about 2 hours. Teenagers naturally want to stay up until 11 p.m. or midnight and sleep until 8 or 9 a.m. This isn't laziness, it's biology. Melatonin, the hormone that promotes sleep, releases later in teenagers than in children or adults. But society structures teenage life around early school starts. The result? Chronic sleep deprivation during crucial developmental years. Teenagers need 8 to 10 hours, but average 6 to 7 on school nights. They're attending their first period classes during what is, for their biology, the middle of the night. The consequences show up in grades, mental health, and car accidents. Teenage drivers have high accident rates partly because many are driving while severely sleep-deprived. When schools shift start times later, even just 30 minutes, academic performance improves, attendance improves, depression rates drop, and car accidents decline. Adults, the sleep jugglers. Adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep, but modern adult life makes this difficult. Work demands, family responsibilities, social obligations, the desire for personal time. Something has to give, and often it's sleep. We trade sleep for productivity, for entertainment, for that last hour of freedom after the kids are asleep. Middle-aged adults often experience their worst sleep. Stress peaks, career pressures, financial responsibilities, aging parents, growing children. For women, perimenopause and menopause can severely disrupt sleep with hot flashes and hormonal changes. For everyone, sleep becomes lighter, more fragmented. The deep sleep of youth diminishes. Older adults, the early birds. Elderly people sleep differently. They typically go to bed earlier, wake earlier, and sleep less overall, averaging 6-7 hours instead of 8. Their circadian rhythms shift earlier, opposite of teenagers. Deep sleep decreases significantly. They wake more frequently during the night. Some of this is normal aging, but some reflects health problems common in older adults. Sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, chronic pain, medications that interfere with sleep, neurodegenerative diseases. The stereotype of elderly people napping frequently reflects both biological changes and poor nighttime sleep quality. Yet older adults often report being satisfied with their sleep, even when objective measures show it's fragmented and light. Perhaps after decades of sleep, they've made peace with it. Or perhaps they've gained wisdom about what matters. And obsessing over perfect sleep doesn't make the list. Part 6. The future of sleep science innovations. As we understand sleep better, we're developing new ways to enhance it, measure it, and even manipulate it. Sleep optimization technologies. Smart mattresses now adjust firmness and temperature throughout the night, responding to your sleep stages. Bedroom environmental systems control not just temperature, but air quality, humidity, and even subtle air movement to optimize sleep conditions. Light therapy devices simulate dawn, gradually increasing light to wake you naturally rather than with a jarring alarm. Neuroscience labs are experimenting with targeted auditory stimulation, playing specific sounds at specific moments in your sleep cycle to enhance deep sleep or improve memory consolidation. Early studies suggest this could boost the restorative power of sleep, effectively making each hour of sleep more valuable. Pharmacological advances. Researchers are developing medications that specifically target sleep mechanisms rather than simply sedating the brain. Orexin antagonists, for example, block the brain chemicals that promote wakefulness, allowing natural sleep to occur rather than forcing unconsciousness. These drugs preserve normal sleep architecture better than traditional sleeping pills. There's also research into medications that could reduce sleep need, allowing people to function well on less sleep without the cognitive impairments of sleep deprivation. The military is particularly interested in this, imagining soldiers who could operate effectively on minimal sleep. But most sleep researchers are skeptical. Sleep does too many essential things to safely shortchange it. Napping pods and workplace sleep. Some progressive companies have installed napping pods, acknowledging that a 20-minute afternoon nap can boost productivity more than another cup of coffee. The stigma around workplace napping is slowly decreasing as the science becomes undeniable. Well-rested employees are more creative, make better decisions, and get sick less often. The power nap, 10-20 minutes of sleep in the early afternoon, can reduce sleepiness and improve performance without causing grogginess. Longer naps allow you to enter deeper sleep stages but risk sleep inertia, the grogginess upon waking. The ideal nap length depends on your goal and your subsequent schedule. Sleep in space astronauts face unique sleep challenges. In the absence of gravity, without the normal cycle of day and night, the International Space Station orbits Earth every 90 minutes, experiencing 16 sunrises and sunsets per day. And in cramped, noisy conditions, sleep becomes difficult. Astronauts report sleeping poorly in space. They use sleeping bags tethered to walls, otherwise they'd float around. They wear eye masks and earplugs. They take sleep medications more frequently than on Earth. Some describe the sensation of sleeping while floating as pleasant, almost meditative. Others find it disorienting. As we contemplate longer space missions to Mars and beyond, solving sleep becomes crucial. Months or years in space with poor sleep would devastate astronauts' health and performance. Research continues on how to create better sleep conditions in space, how to maintain circadian rhythms without natural light cues, and whether artificial gravity might help. The quest for optimal sleep. In our data-obsessed age, many people seek to optimize their sleep, tracking metrics, experimenting with schedules, trying supplements and gadgets. There's something both admirable and absurd about this, applying the efficiency mindset of productivity culture to one of life's most natural, involuntary processes. The quantified self-movement has people comparing REM percentages and deep sleep minutes like athletes compare statistics. But sleep isn't a performance to be optimized. It's a biological necessity, a surrender, a daily return to something ancient and animal. The best sleep advice remains simple. Keep consistent hours, make your bedroom comfortable, avoid screens before bed, manage stress, move your body during the day, don't consume caffeine late. These basics matter far more than expensive gadgets or elaborate sleep hacks. And perhaps most importantly, don't sacrifice sleep. Modern culture treats sleep as negotiable, as something you can borrow against with the promise of paying it back later. But sleep debt accumulates, and you can never fully repay it. The hours of sleep you lose are lost forever, along with all the restoration, memory, consolidation, and immune function they would have provided. Closing, the gift of sleep. Why we surrender every night. You do something that would have seemed like madness to your ancient ancestors if they didn't have to do it too. You lie down, close your eyes, and surrender control. You make yourself vulnerable. You release your grip on the world. You trust that you'll wake again. Sleep is an act of faith. You can't will yourself to sleep. Trying too hard prevents it. You can only create conditions and then let go, allowing sleep to take you. It's one of the few experiences modern humans have where we must relinquish control, where we cannot force or hustle or optimize our way to success. We can only allow. In a culture obsessed with productivity, with constant activity, with never wasting time, sleep stands as a rebuke. It insists that you are not merely a machine to be run at maximum capacity. It reminds you that you are an animal, with needs and limits, with rhythms older than civilization. Sleep connects you to every human who has ever lived. Every person who walked this earth closed their eyes and dreamed. Your ancestors slept around fires and caves. Egyptian pharaohs slept in gilded beds. Medieval peasants slept on straw. Your parents slept while you grew in the womb. Someday, people not yet born will sleep under skies you'll never see, and they'll dream dreams you can't imagine. The mystery remains. Despite all our scientific advances, sleep retains its mystery. We understand its mechanisms better than ever before. The brain waves, the neurotransmitters, the circadian rhythms. We know what sleep does for memory, for health, for emotion. We can measure it, track it, analyze it. But we still don't fully understand consciousness itself, and therefore we don't fully understand its daily disappearance. Where do you go when you sleep? What is the relationship between the sleeping brain and the subjective experience of dreams? Why did evolution create this vulnerable state rather than something safer? Sleep remains one of the great mysteries of human existence, happening to you every single night, essential for survival, yet still not fully explained. You are right now preparing to do something you do every day and yet can never fully control or understand. The invitation. And now, as this story ends, your own sleep begins. The ancient ritual continues, the same ritual that has sustained humanity through hundreds of thousands of years. Through ice ages and migrations, through civilizations rising and falling, through everything we've endured and celebrated. Tonight you join the great human tradition of surrendering to the night. You'll lie down in darkness, close your eyes, and allow your consciousness to dissolve. Your brain will cycle through its stages, doing its mysterious work of restoration and consolidation. You might dream, strange, vivid, forgotten dreams that your waking mind will never know. And then, if all goes well, you'll wake to morning light, restored, your brain cleared of yesterday's debris, ready to begin again. Sleep is both our oldest heritage and our nightly miracle. It's the pause that makes the music of life possible. It's the darkness that makes the light meaningful. It's the small death that makes life sustainable. So sleep well tonight. Don't fight it, don't worry about it, don't try to optimize it. Simply allow yourself to drift, to surrender, to trust in the ancient process that has sustained every human who came before you and will sustain those who come after. The story of sleep is your story. It began long before you were born and will continue long after you're gone. But for now, for tonight, it's happening to you as it always has, as it always will. Close your eyes, let go. The night will hold you safely until morning comes again. Final words. The lights dim, the world quiets, your breathing slows. Outside, the earth continues its ancient rotation, carrying you from light into darkness and back again. Inside, your body knows what to do. It's done this thousands of times. It will do it thousands more. Trust the process, trust the darkness, trust that morning will come. Sleep is not time wasted, but time reclaimed, not absence, but presence in a different form, not emptiness, but fullness of another kind. And so we end where we began, with the most ordinary miracle, the nightly surrender to sleep, the journey into dreams, the trust that you'll return. May your sleep be deep, your dreams be gentle, and your awakening be peaceful. Good night. Sleep well. And thank you for joining me on this journey through the story of sleep, the story that is, in the end, the story of being human. Rest now,